y'all, my name is Austin Freeman, and I just wanted to take some time to share a few of my tips that I've learned along the way of either I've messed this stuff up myself or I've seen other people mess it up and I've learned from their mistakes. So, little background, I am a country singer. I'm a singer-songwriter. I have a band. I sing and I play acoustic guitar. So this stuff is going to be kind of more tailored to that, but it can be tailored to a broader audience. So anyways, let's get started. Tip number one, practice, practice, practice. I know, everybody says it, and it's just one of those things that, you kind of get sick and tired of hearing, but believe me, it's the truth. If you're up there on stage and you suck at playing guitar, you're playing all the wrong notes, you can't remember the words to the songs if you're a cover band or you're playing your own songs, and if you forget the words and you start mumbling your way through, believe it or not, that microphone you're singing into has a lot of power behind it, and a lot of people can hear what you're saying or lack thereof. So make sure you practice your parts, make sure you remember the words. And if you can't remember all the words, if you're good at making up stuff on the fly, then maybe you can sing your own words in place of the words that you forgot. I don't know, it happens. I've done it before. I don't know if anybody noticed or not. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But truth is, we got through the song and we finished. Tip number two is equipment. Now, equipment can really make a huge difference to the sound of your band, depending on what kind of microphone you use. I started off, I used the Shure SM58. Great microphone, it's a workhorse, it's everything you want in a microphone. When it comes to guitars, I went to Guitar Center and I played every single guitar that they had up on the wall. I played ones that I could afford, and I played all the ones that I definitely could not afford. Make sure, if you're going to be in a live band and for an acoustic guitar, you want it to sound good unplugged. That's great for if you're playing for friends at a house or something like that. But more importantly, plug that thing in. Make sure the pickups sound good running through an amp, running through a mix, running through anything. Because, yeah, that's great. You have a good sounding guitar when it's unplugged, but you plug it in and it has a cheap pickup on it and it just sounds atrocious. It doesn't even sound like an acoustic guitar anymore. Those are some things that you want to look out for. When it comes to PAs, when it comes to any kind of speakers or amps or anything like that, try to get the best quality that you can afford. We started off when we played with a very cheap, it was a cheap amp, cheap head. It had two little 12-inch unpowered speakers or passive speakers, and it did the job and it did get me through a lot of acoustic shows, but when you're playing it for a long time, it gets hot, gets stinky. Make sure you look at your gains and you actually learn how to use the equipment that you're using to try to give yourself a better sound. But eventually I did upgrade to a better PA, and the sound is just night and day compared to the two. So make sure before you buy anything, if you can at all possible, listen to it and actually use it and see if it's something that appeals to your ears. Because if it appeals to your ears, more than likely it's going to appeal to the audience and you'll have a better show. Tip number three. You've had your band together for a while, you've practiced, you rehearsed, you finally got a gig. What do I do? Okay, well, for starters, make sure you have all of your equipment available to you. If the venue has an in-house sound system, that's great. That's one less thing you have to worry about. I, being the precautious type of guy I am, I always brought my PA to these shows also, just in case something went wrong with the sound system at the venue. We had a backup and we wouldn't be stuck with not having a show and not getting paid. Always make sure you have all of your cables, you have your guitar, you have good strings, you have your mic stand, you have your microphone, everything you're gonna need. Make a checklist. A lot of times I have a checklist, and before I go to a show, I lay all of my stuff out. And I take it out of all the packaging, I take it out of all of my carrying equipment, and I make sure I have all my cables here, I have my microphone here, my guitar here, backup guitar, I have mixer, everything I would need for this show, and then I get a big look at everything, and then I pack it all up, and it goes directly into my car, and we're off to the venue. When you show up to the venue, I always try to show up very early. If I'm doing a full band venue, especially if I have to set up our own sound, I'll show up maybe 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 hours early just to make sure I can set up my monitors, I can get a mix going through my mixer, and I can tune my mix and taper my mix to the venue itself. If you run your own sound for your own band, be cognizant that the more the venue fills, the more the sound's going to change coming out of your mixer. So just be aware of that. Maybe have a friend that's hanging out towards the back of the venue or in the middle of the venue, and he's listening to everything. And if he says, hey, this needs to go up, this needs to go down, listen to him, because he hears things that you don't hear. So if you can get a good trusted friend to help you out with something like that, that's awesome. Tip number 3, or 4, or 3. Yeah, tip number 3. A lot of people out there like to think that if you drink before your show, it helps loosen you up, and it does, to an extent. I've made the mistake in the past of getting way too drunk before I would show up to these shows. It's amazing to me how I did not get fired at some of these things, because boy howdy, let me tell you what. There have been times that I would, before I even go to the venue, I would have a 6-pack of beer and I don't know how many shots, and that's before I got to the venue. Then I get to the venue and I drink another 2 beers and another 2 shots before we went on. And then if I'm playing 3 sets at an hour each, I'm drinking 2 beers and a shot each set. That's a lot of drinking, and trust me, by the time you're done with your sets, it's not going to be pretty. You're probably going to be playing to an empty room. Been there. It's just not cool, and you might think that it might help you play. Anybody that says getting drunk helps them play better or sing better is a liar, and that's just facts. Anybody that watches you sober versus when you've only had a couple versus when you've had way too many, they definitely can tell the difference. And believe me, it's not the same show, and it's not a very good show. Tip number 5. When you're first starting out, everybody has their influences. I've had mine, or I still do have my influences, and everybody that plays music was influenced to start playing music by somebody else. So my tip for you, we all want to be like our influences, but don't be exactly like your influences. I have my own opinions about tribute bands. Some of them are great, others not so much, but nobody really likes it when you go up to the stage and if you're playing a George Strait song, nobody expects you to be just like George Strait, okay? Nobody expects you to be just like Gary Stewart or Marty Robbins or Hank Williams or anybody like that. They expect you to sound like you. And believe me, that's a hard thing to master when you're a new beginning band. We all have our influences. I would say that writing your own songs really helps you bring out your own sound, and it just takes time. It really does. When I first started, I would, try to make every cover song that I played, I tried to sound like the guy that sang the cover. I can't sound like them. They sound like them, okay? I sound like me. So make your songs your own. If you're doing a cover song, sing it in your voice, in your style, and people will notice that and they'll recognize it, and that's how you get your style, and that's how you attract more fans, because they actually like the way that you sound and not the way that you try to sound like somebody else, if that makes sense. Tip number 6. It really, really, really bugs me when I see people out there and they complain about the amount of people that came to the show, and they complain about who didn't show up, and they complain, oh man, we're playing to 2 people tonight. Oh, this sucks. No, those 2 are gonna get the best show they've ever seen. It's gonna be an intimate show. You're gonna be able to converse with them. You're gonna be able to build a really good relationship if you do it right. Usually those 2 people have friends they can invite to the next show. And it just looks real bad, real unclassy when an artist complains about how many people showed up to their show. So just don't get a big head about yourself. Last but not least, have fun. Being in a band is just an amazing experience that not a lot of people really get to do. And if you get to play live, it's even better. Trust me, stick with it. I'm getting tongue twisted here. Just stick with it. I promise it'll get better. Your first shows, they're not going to be stellar performances. Try to make them that way, but you know, in all honesty, they're not going to be. Make sure you continue to practice. Make sure you have fun. Number 1 rule, just have fun with it. The more fun you have, that energy that you're showing on stage, when the whole band's having fun, it just lifts the atmosphere. You're the entertainers for the people that are coming there tonight. And if there's people there to see you that night, they came to see you for a reason. So just remember, have fun. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Anyways, y'all, that's it for this video. I really do truly appreciate you watching this video. Please, if you can, please subscribe, smash that like button, ring the notification bell. Follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/AustinFreemanBand or Instagram at AustinFreeman_music. I'm here in Bavaria, Germany right now. So if you're in the area, I really hope I can see you at the next show. Thank you.